Contender-7 steps through the ropes onto a canvas already dark with old blood.
Strike through the cutman's puppet pack and hold the underbelly smoker. Contender-7 explodes off the back foot. The kinetic lead jab hammers rapid-fire impacts into the cutman's puppet trio before they can set their feet, rhythm broken, bodies folding. The crowd presses the chain link walls and roars as the basement floor clears. Smoker held. Pummel dirty southpaw at 70 meters and keep pressing the objective. The two dirty southpaws are still circling at 70 meters, too far for your jab to connect clean, but you close the gap fast, bobbing through the chain link corridor. You switch to the haymaker hook and unload a devastating concussive right hand into the nearest southpaw's exposed jaw, dropping him hard on the concrete. The second southpaw catches a follow-up left hook and staggers back, still upright but leaking badly. The ref on the take lingers at the back, ready to reset the chaos if you let him breathe. Crush dirty southpaw at 14 meters and keep pressing the objective. You pivot off the dead southpaw's body and unload a thunderous haymaker hook into the second one's open jaw. His mouthguard shatters across the concrete and he drops like a sack of wet sand. The mob behind the chain link erupts. The ref on the take is screaming something about a foul, already moving to reset his boys, but you're already pressing forward. Avoid the ref on the take and secure the underbelly smoker. You sidestep the ref on the take. He's not your fight, just noise, and plant your boots on the blood-slicked concrete, scanning the smoky basement. The two dirty southpaws are already down, and with no fresh opposition pushing through the crowd, the underbelly smoker is yours. A laminated entry card skids across the floor from beneath the crumpled ref's table. First gatekeeper cleared. Push hard to smoke-stained municipal iron and smash anything in the way. Contender-7 snatches the circuit entry card off the concrete, tucks it in his waistband, and muscles past the cowering ref on the take. One shove sends the crooked official sprawling into the crowd. The underbelly smoker is done. The road to the regional bracket opens through the locker room corridor ahead. You push northwest, boots pounding grimy concrete, leaving the smoky basement behind. Push hard to smoke-stained municipal iron and strike anything in the way. Contender-7 bulls forward through the corridor, dusting the cutman's puppet with a blinding jab combo before the puppet can chain a clinch, rhythm broken, body dropped. The two dirty southpaws are already cold on the floor from last round. Corridors clear. You're closing fast on the municipal arena. Strike circuit enforcer at 55 meters and push forward hard. You call the shot. Contender-7 explodes forward off the back foot, closing the gap on the circuit enforcer with a blinding jab series that hammers through the headgear and shatters his guard meter before he can set his feet. The enforcer staggers back, cracked padding spinning into the corridor smoke, and the path to the arena arch opens up. You're pushing hard now. The smoke-stained municipal arena is in sight. Incinerate dirty southpaw at 60 meters and keep pressing the objective. You pivot off the down circuit enforcer and lock eyes on the dirty southpaw at 60 meters. He's dancing foot to foot, switching stances like a man who thinks distance saves him. Your kinetic lead jab is dry. You swap to the haymaker hook and close fast, eating a glancing southpaw cross on the way in before the iron chin shrugs the days and you unload a single devastating concussive shot that caves his guard and drops him cold on the corridor floor. The arena entrance arch is right there. You're on the threshold of the smoke-stained municipal arena. Sweep smoke-stained municipal arena for stragglers and lock it down. You sweep the smoke-choked arena floor. The circuit enforcer and dirty southpaw are already folded, nothing but dead weight on the concrete. You move through the corridors, fists up, checking corners. The smoke-stained municipal arena is locked down, no stragglers standing. The crowd behind the chain link roars as your name gets called up the bracket. Push hard to condemned cold storage ware and strike anything in the way. You push hard out of the municipal arena, boots grinding through slick concrete corridors toward the condemned cold storage warehouse. The path is mostly clear. A lone dirty southpaw lurks at the warehouse approach, switching stances under a busted halogen, and you don't give him time to settle. A blinding jab chain cracks his rhythm and drops him cold before he can chain a clinch. You're closing fast on the meat locker. Sweep condemned cold storage ware for stragglers and lock it down. You clear the frozen threshold, breath fogging under dead fluorescent tubes. The warehouse reeks of blood and refrigerant, and 3 roided sluggers are already circling the makeshift ring, shoulders rolling, eyes locked on you. A pair of turnbuckle thugs flank the chain link walls, waiting to swarm your blind side the moment you commit. Strike through the roided slugger a pack and hold condemned cold storage ware. You blast through slugger with a blinding jab chain, disrupting his wind-up and cracking ribs before he can load up, then pivot to spray fast straights across B and C, breaking their rhythm cold. The turnbuckle thugs creep the flanks, but you hold center canvas, boots planted on the blood-stained mat. Warehouse is yours. For now. Incinerate roided slugger B at 14 meters and keep pressing the objective. You pivot hard left and unleash a blinding jab combo on slugger B. The kinetic lead jab rattles his skull like a speed bag, snapping his head back before he can wind up. He folds against a swinging beef carcass and drops cold. Slugger C is still circling at your 2 o'clock, but the turnbuckle thugs are creeping the flanks. Clear the ring. Incinerate roided slugger C at 18 meters and keep pressing the objective. You pivot off the carcass chain and drive a blinding jab combo straight into slugger C's solar plexus. The disruption strike rattles his guard apart and folds him cold onto the slick concrete floor. That's the last roided slugger down. Now the turnbuckle thugs are the only ones still standing, crowding both flanks in the freezer fog. Avoid the turnbuckle thug L and secure condemned cold storage ware. You pivot hard left, slipping Thug L's looping haymaker and letting a swinging frozen carcass take the blow. The meat absorbs it with a sickening thud. You're clear of his reach now, back against the chain link, breath frosting in the cold air. Condemned cold storage warehouse is yours. The sluggers are down, Thug L overextended, and your footwork keeps you out of his kill zone. Avoid the turnbuckle Thug R and secure condemned cold storage ware. Your operator sidesteps turnbuckle Thug R's looping overhand, letting him stumble into the hanging carcasses, then pivots back to the center of the frozen warehouse floor. With the roided sluggers already down and Thug R tangled in the meat chains, Contender-7 holds the cold storage ring's center, but Thug L is still circling from the far corner with bad intentions. One threat neutralized, one still prowling. Strike turnbuckle Thug R at 18 meters and push forward hard. You pivot hard right and unload a blinding jab chain into turnbuckle Thug R, still tangled in those swinging carcasses. He's got nowhere to go. The rapid-fire straights cave his ribs and drop him face-first onto the blood-slicked concrete. Thug L breaks into a sprint from the chain link corner, closing the gap fast. Avoid the turnbuckle Thug L and secure condemned cold storage ware. You slip the charging turnbuckle Thug L's rush, letting him skid on the blood-slicked concrete, and plant yourself in the center of the freezing warehouse floor. This is your ring now. The Thug scrambles to reset, but you've already claimed the high ground between the hanging carcasses. Contender-7 standing sharp-eyed in the frost-fogged center of a meat locker warehouse, frozen carcasses swaying behind them, the turnbuckle Thug L skidding off balance on blood-streaked concrete under stuttering fluorescence, breath misting in the brutal cold. Incinerate turnbuckle Thug L at 22 meters and keep pressing the objective. No ammo left in the haymaker hook. You switch to the kinetic lead jab and unload a blindingly fast combo into turnbuckle Thug L at 22 meters, cracking ribs on the second rip and dropping the Thug to the blood-streaked concrete in a heap. The roided sluggers at your flanks Contender-7 in a frost-harsed warehouse ring under strobing fluorescence, throwing a savage haymaker hook into a massive roided slugger's jaw while a second reels backwards into swaying frozen carcasses, breath misting in the cold air. Crush roided slugger A at 12 meters and keep pressing the objective. You pivot hard into slugger A at 12 meters, unloading the haymaker hook straight into his jaw. The concussive blow shatters what's left of his guard and drops him cold into the frost-rimmed concrete. Slugger B circles in from your left flank, still in the fight but bleeding and wide-eyed. The warehouse reeks of ammonia and old blood. The match is almost yours. Strike roided slugger B at 14 meters and keep pressing the objective. You pivot through the hanging carcasses and drive hard at slugger B. A thunderous haymaker hook caves his guard and drops him cold on the frost-slicked floor. The warehouse goes quiet except for the buzz of failing fluorescence and your own ragged breath. Both sluggers are down. The meat locker bout is yours. Push hard to sold-out regional champion and strike anything in the way. You burst out of the cold storage warehouse into the corridor between venues, boots hammering cracked concrete as the crowd noise from the sold-out pit grows louder ahead. 2 circuit enforcers block the hallway, headgear gleaming under yellowed tubes. You don't slow down, you plow through with a blinding jab chain that cracks padding and sends them spinning into the walls. Contender-7 smothered in a brutal clinch against Iron Mako Salazar at the ropes, blood and sweat flying under the pit spotlight, one hand secretly crushing a corner stim against cracked ribs while the crowd screams for blood. Break away and take cover, pop smelling salts huff, then re-engage from safety. You wrench free from Salazar's clinch, eating a parting elbow across the cheekbone as you create distance, but you're out. You jam the smelling salt's huff under your nose in the half second of separation. The ammonia hits like a freight train, blowing the fog clean out of your skull and sharpening everything. The crowd howls as you reset your stance, eyes locked on Salazar across the pit. He's winded, guard flickering, and you're reading him now. Focus everything on the Iron Mako Salazar. Trigger championship second wind, crush it and finish the kill. You drop your hands and let the salts burn through you. Then championship second wind kicks in like a freight train through the chest. You unload on Salazar in a sustained blitz. Haymaker hooks hammering his guard into splinters. Clinch dirty boxing raking kidney shots when he tries to grab. Every strike landing at maximum critical impact. He eats 3 clean hooks to the jaw, staggers into the ropes, and doesn't come back up. Iron Mako Salazar is finished. Break away and take cover, pop smelling salt's huff, then re-engage from safety. You backpedal hard to the neutral corner, buying 2 seconds of breathing room as Vane stalks forward measuring his range. The smelling salt's huff hits like a freight train, your vision sharpens, the fog clears, and the crowd's roar snaps back into focus. You roll your shoulders, spit blood, and square up. Championship second wind is still in the tank, but the clock is ticking. Focus everything on the sledgehammer. Brock Vane, trigger championship second wind, pummel it and finish the kill. You slam the smelling salt's tin aside and call it. Championship second wind ignites in your chest like a furnace. Every nerve sharpens to a razor edge as you close the distance on Vane. Haymaker hook hammering through his guard in devastating concussive waves, body head body until the big man's knees buckle. The sledgehammer hits the canvas and doesn't get back up. Mission complete. Adrenaline standing down. Outstanding work, operator.